This is Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff, plus Nate, plus Alex.
Here we are, Mr. Americas.
Ooh, well done.
Today is Tuesday, August 13th, and we had more preseason football on the TV this past week. More times to see the new kickoff, more times to wonder what types of different rulings can come down, and we saw a lot of the rookie QBs of note take the field.
Still not a fan of this new kickoff.
We had a safety, correct, Nate?
Yeah, we did have a safety. That was a little bizarre.
I think for a few weeks we will continue to see like bizarre scenarios regarding this kickoff.
It's going to take time to remember to, like, if A happens, B is the result.
Right.
Yeah. It feels very weird, like whenever the ball gets kicked and everyone's just like it's like there's a glitch in the game. It's like and then they run. Like I'm used to the
It's like, does the ball come out to the 25? Does it come out to the 30? Do they just return it?
This is the preseason. I don't even watch unless
You're gonna be very much in the dark, Jim, when it comes into the regular season. You'll be like, what?
I watched the first one. Got the gist. Now let's wait for the real deal.
All right, we're gonna do another double dip this week in the breakdowns of an NFL division. This week, the AFC South. And we're also going to chat about the Big 12 in college football.
Yay.
Alex, no jubilation,
I
excitement?
already told Jim what not to be.
Which is what?
A twat waffle.
Okay. Explicit content already. Good job, guys. Thanks.
I was trying to hold off, but Nate tempted me.
Nate just asked you a question. That doesn't take much to tempt
Which was tempting.
Okay. Thanks to everybody's interacting in the content on social media. You can get at Sports Jim Muff on Instagram and Twitter. Sports Stuff with Jim Muff on Facebook, on YouTube. Subscribe, comment, rate, review, poke, like, tickle.
Get the bell on.
Ding ding.
This past week, you had the opportunity to listen and watch Alex recap a round of golf.
I want live views of this. I don't want to hear the end. I want to see the process.
So this is going to be me telling Muff live about a grave error I almost made this Sunday. So
when I was not there to hang out with Alex and tell Alex, do this, don't do that.
I went golfing with my stepdad this Sunday. It was fun. We had a good time. On the 18th hole, I was hitting it the wrong green because I didn't see where ours was. So the one that I was hitting was like way farther than this, which was a par 3. And in my defense, the course ran out of scorecards. So I was kind of like winging it with like knowing what we were doing. Bruce was able to coach me. Well, he was like adding up scores, even though we were just like kind of half keeping score. And I go and I get my ball and I line my shot up and I'm in the tee box and I swing my driver because I'm shooting for a green that's far that way. And Bruce about died because really the hole I was hitting was a par 3. And directly behind the green of the par 3 was the clubhouse and everybody's cars.
Oh, jeez.
He was looking down and doing this. He thought I straight up hit a driver at this hole, and all he could picture was it going through the clubhouse window or somebody else's car window. He said he heard this pink and was like, shit. I was like, no, I was aiming for that green way down there. He's like, oh, thank God. But that was really my only big fiasco. I found more balls than I lost. The course was in disarray. It was like hitting on concrete.
Oh, now we got a snob. Look what you've created, Muff.
No, Jim. If a ball rolls 100 yards down the hill into the woods after you had like a relatively good shot that just kind of rolled off the green, like it's a little too hard. But that's not really their fault. It's not been a good year for raining. But that was my big, I wouldn't call it an etiquette rule, but I guess maybe if you hit onto green of a different hole.
I mean, yes, because you could be hitting at other people.
That's true.
So that would be an etiquette rule and potentially a safety concern. I know where Alex was over the weekend, Jim, and yes, it's in disarray. From an objective standpoint.
Yoda tells Luke, "It's okay. You can call it disarray."
Are you trying to be a videographer, Jim, for these, so you can get, we can put videos out of everything, or?
I mean, I wouldn't mind getting back on the golf course myself.
Well, then we wouldn't have a videographer. We would have 4 players when Nate gets in.
I mean, I can video him hitting the ball and then go hit the ball.
I mean,
myself.
Yeah, we all can't hit the ball at the same time.
But we all can't be near Alex at the same time if we're playing our own golf balls.
No, if we scramble it.
Well, then it's not Alex playing a round of golf. It's Alex playing in a scramble.
Oh, by the way,
this is a sports podcast. Let's just keep the
We're
ball
talking
moving.
about sports.
I'm a golf.
Right.
Never mind. Move on.
Getting into football news, starting in the college world, as the first AP poll comes out, the top 25 was released yesterday, with the top 10: Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan, 10, Florida State. Georgia received 46 first place votes, Ohio State with 15, Oregon with 3, Alabama at 5 is the lowest ranking to open the season since 2009. What are our initial reactions on the top 10? Any surprises?
Ole Miss was a surprise for me, I guess. And then there's not a big 12 team in the top 10.
And that was surprising.
I mean, I thought Texas. Oh no, my bad. But I was shocked. I thought they'd at least be up higher than that. And I'm surprised Michigan even counts. Like, they're not going to be bowl eligible anyway. Why are they in there?
There's no guarantees on that, Jim.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask Jim, of these top 10 teams, who do you think finishes the year unranked?
Michigan.
By default or because they're bad?
Well, it always seems like there's a team that starts in the top 10 preseason, but always finishes outside the top 25.
I'm going with
Michigan because they're bad.
Notre Dame.
I'm going to go with the low-hanging fruit and stay Florida State.
I was going to pick Florida State, and then I thought that was low-hanging fruit, so I went Notre Dame.
I think that's going to be a shocker.
Florida State?
They're my dark horse.
Revenge tour?
Yeah, I think they're going to be up there pretty high.
Okay. Alabama, we think they are going to stay in that top 5 area, or are they going to see some ups and downs this year?
I think we're going to see some up and downs.
I think the jury's still out. I don't know. The no Nick thing's going to be an issue. Like, I don't know.
I mean, I think he's being replaced by about as good as you can replace, but still.
I don't think I am well-educated enough on Alabama to make a decision on that yet.
And that just speaks more to his legacy, that they haven't been preseason ranked anything lower than 5 since 2009.
Is tough. Is Columbus Land upset about being 2 and only having 15 first place votes, Jim?
No, not at all.
The sky is not falling.
No.
I don't know if I believe it.
Not in the slightest.
Okay. Fair enough.
Like, you don't understand how that works. Like, to be number 1 early is not where the mentality is. Like, we don't want to be number 1. We want to rise to that occasion, not have to have the target on our backs, because inevitably, if we have that target on our backs, we will get shot, and we don't want that.
Yay. What is it? I think there's 5 Big Ten teams in the top 15. I think there's 6 or 7 SEC teams in the top 15. Notre Dame obviously has their own challenges to consider with their ranking going into the college football playoff.
See, I don't think that's true. I think that the playoff sets them up well. Like they don't have to be in a conference necessarily to get in the playoff.
No, they don't have to, but they don't have an automatic option now.
Yeah, but they have Jesus.
They do have
Do
Jesus.
have touchdown Jesus. Speaking of Jesus, speaking of touchdowns, and speaking of things, I don't know, Hail Marys and Jesus's, Michigan has some issues going on. Jim Harbaugh has some issues, more specifically. Jim, you want to walk us through what's happening at the University of Michigan, the penalties that have come down?
No, because I don't really like. They have a show cause penalty, which I've never understood from the days of Tressel. Basically, you have to go before the NCAA and show reason why he has to be okay to coach at their school. He still has to serve a 1-year suspension, if I read that correct. I've read this thing like 3 times and I'm still not clear. He still has to serve the 1-year suspension, I think, if they do hire him back. And that's until 2028.
This is if any college team hires him.
Right.
He's not going back to college.
But like all that goes away in 2028? If I read that correctly.
I think the show cause goes away in 2028. I still think there's a suspension that's kind of on the table for the indefinite future, I believe.
And that's only for one of the investigations because
this is recruiting violations.
That has nothing to do with the cheating scandal that they're still investigating and could go on for months. Like a year after the fact, it could still be going on.
Yes. And before we got on here, Jim was talking about how Michigan may or may not be eligible for postseason. Actually, I've done a good bit of reading, and there's a lot of speculation that the football team, the players, are not going to see any type of significant impacts to their football lives because it's involved only coaches.
That's fucking ridiculous.
Most of the NCAA investigations that have all involved just coaches have not impacted players' eligibility for postseason bursts and significant scholarship restrictions. The only thing that didn't come into play with that, I think this is more current coaches, would be like Penn State and Sandusky, but I think that falls a little bit outside of the scope.
What about Ohio State and the Tressel thing?
What all happened with Tressel?
They literally gave him a ban. That 12-0 season, the next or the
4
later, they couldn't go to the bowl.
4
tattoos.
We're saying just because of the players' tattoos that we're not going to talk about.
The players were involved with the violation.
That is some
Michigan
bullshit.
right now. There's been no players that have been tossed into these allegations. It's been entirely coaches.
That's a fucking thin line. That is a razor thin line.
So I'm just saying there's a historical context to this that's typically been how the NCAA handles it.
Are we going to vacate wins?
So if you get a traffic violation, do you think that your kids should get a 6-month delay on being allowed to get their license?
No, I agree. I see what you're saying here. But if you represent the team and you're head of the team.
You're the head of your team.
That's apples and oranges. You should have something of either you're vacating wins, you're getting a bowl ban, something here.
What if the school is just fined a shit ton of money and there's all these other types of things, but the players don't see any
bringing
impacts
Jim Harbaugh back game 1 to celebrate the motherfucker. Like
as a player.
That school doesn't give a shit.
He's coming back as a player.
The NCAA allows them to just walk on this.
Didn't say walk.
How is it? What
if their entire coaching staff is gutted? You have to start over from scratch with your coaching staff.
They're not going to gut that whole staff.
You have restrictions on, let's just say, NIL.
The head coach right now is going to get a tier 2 violation, so he's not leaving. He'll get a slap on the wrist, maybe a 4-game suspension. But like, vacate some wins, pay a fine, and I'd be okay. I don't necessarily even want the bowl ban. I understand your point. Don't let it affect the players. They're not necessarily the cheating bastards.
Vacate national championships or just wins?
I don't think you should vacate all the way up to the point where he figured out he was cheating. When the notice went out, hey, to the schools, hey guys, your playbooks have been compromised.
Got it.
I think that's where it stops.
Other thoughts, Alex, Nate?
No.
Sounds
They
good.
can give
Nothing
everybody-
novel to continue the conversation.
Yeah, it's nothing that's gonna really change it. Like you're still gonna look back at Michigan to be your national champion, no matter what penalty they give out.
Yeah, I don't want to take that away from him.
Michigan
I
forever.
agree with
Nate
that.
says Michigan forever.
But I just think like all them W's up to the point where you got caught, that was sneaky ass behavior. And to say like the players didn't benefit, like the coaches,
The players
called
weren't
into plays.
involved. Players weren't involved.
Okay, they were involved when the coaches were screaming, "Hey, this is coming!" And
No,
they
were
made
not
adjustments.
involved in the cheating. They were involved in the
They benefited
outcome.
from the cheating.
Yeah,
but
they
did not
benefited
do
from
the
it.
cheating.
If I tell you the answers to the test and you take the answers and pass the test, you're cheating.
Unknowingly.
Oh my dick!
Well, go ahead, Jim. Try to link.
Wow,
players
we're
to the
making
cheating.
a lot of changes that we're winning all of a sudden. I had no idea why.
Superior coaching, Jim. Superior coaching.
Yeah, it must be the khakis, the milk, and the steak. That's what it is, guys. It's finally paying off.
Jim's true colors finally show. In the
Fuck outta here.
NFL, the rookies, especially at the quarterback position, have made their long-awaited debuts. Nate, talk us through the rookie quarterbacks over the past week and what they did on the field.
So we'll start with the good. Michael Penix of the Falcons, as much as it pains me to say, looked pretty good. Against the Dolphins, he went 9 of 16 for 104 and had one nice deep ball down the sideline. So Falcons right now we're looking real smart at taking Penix early in case Kirk goes down or anything happens to Kirk. The big thing going on now in New England is who's going to be the backup to Brissett. Joe Milton, in my opinion, outperformed Drake May in a rainy New England. Milton threw for 54 yards and a touchdown on just 4 completions, where Drake May only had 19 yards on 2 completions. So all the hype is there with Drake May being the first round pick. And I know Jim said he was a big Drake May guy, but I don't know.
No, I think give him a year.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch any of these games. It's always interesting to me of when these quarterbacks are playing and who they're playing against. Is it the guy's going to be, driving a FedEx truck next week, or is it somebody who has a real chance to be on the team, who's catching the balls for them? All of that comes into play for me, and without knowing those details, I'm unsure. I like to see like third preseason game how things are going.
Yeah, these next 4 guys I think are going to be in the category of non-FedEx drivers. They are going to either be starters week 1 or early in the year, I believe. One that's definitely going to be a starter is Jaden Daniels, who led the Commanders right down the field in his one series that he got to play against the Jets, capping it off with a zone read for 3 yards who went in untouched. Michigan's J.J. McCarthy played well for the Vikings and a come from behind victory against the Raiders. Went 11 of 17 for $188, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. I did watch a majority of this second half because they had Justin Jefferson on with NFL Network in the whole third quarter. And he's like, man, all of a sudden we start playing good. And I got to be mic'd up more often. And then the top 2 that are probably getting the most talked about, Bo Nix with the Broncos. I think Bo Nix looked the best of the 4 big names here. Bo Nix went 15 of 21 for 125 and a touchdown, plus 17 passing yards. And this was after being the second quarterback in the game, and he has already been determined to be the starter of the second preseason game against who I don't remember.
Yeah, who knows preseason? But Bo Nix, the initial depth chart had him as third, right?
Yeah,
Third quarterback on the depth
looked
chart,
a
with
lot
everyone
better than-
knew.
Yeah, he looked a lot better than third.
Yeah, everybody knew that was going to change. It was just how quickly was he going to climb?
Yeah, because he did get a lot of playing time, and then I think Zach Wilson got most of the second half, and then I think Jared Stidham started, but he only played a couple series. And then the number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams, made some splash plays. He had one really big screen pass that he kind of just shoveled it out there. And although he couldn't find the end zone, he did look good. He showed some good arm strength, some mobility in the pocket. I watched a little bit of this too, and I thought there was just times where he held on the ball a little bit too long. But he did throw for 95 yards and ran for 13 more. So that's another team that I think can make some noise in a loaded NFC North now with him, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore.
Yeah. So those quarterbacks, they all went out and they competed. Some had better stat lines than others. We'll see how the preseason progresses and how especially the Bo Nixes of the world progress up the depth chart. Anybody see anything else in the preseason over the past week that was interesting?
Not really.
No.
All right. Moving on to some holdout updates in the NFL, and there may be more if anybody's heard of any. CD Lamb and Jerry Jones are using the media to kind of go back and forth a little bit. Jerry,
Do you think there's ever going to be an off season where we don't talk about Jerry Jones?
No,
He's
his
dead.
goal is that doesn't happen.
the one 2 years after he dies, not the year after
I was
he
gonna
dies,
say
2 years after he dies. But yeah, Jerry's talking about how we don't need him now. We don't need him now. Thinking of he's saying that he wasn't even. The subtext is he wasn't even going to play, so we're not missing him now. And CD Lamb kind of went to Twitter and was responding in some ways to be like, really, this is what's up. But I don't know. I think this is one of those classic holdouts where until he gets the money that he believes he's deserved, he's going to be sitting right there, and Jerry's just calling his bluff right now.
Typical Jerry.
Wild.
Yep. In Jets camp, defensive lineman Hassan Reddick says he wants a trade. And the Jets are saying they are not going to do it, and they're going to continue to fine him per the CBA if he does not report to camp. In a release from the Jets, and I quote, "Since the trade discussions back in March, we have been clear, direct, and consistent without position. Our focus will remain on the guys we have here as we prepare for the regular season." The Jets are not doing anything different than they said they were going to when they traded for Reddick last year. And these discussions apparently are where they are going to be. Hassan Reddick, do we think this gets done before the season starts, or is this going to be somewhat of a Chris Jones situation from last year with the Chiefs?
I think it'd be more of a Chris Jones situation. I just, like you said, Jerry Jones calling CD's bluff. I call this guy's bluff. It's like, look, we're just going to keep finding you. If you don't want to show up, you can pay us back. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he knew what he was getting into when he was traded to the Jets. They got him for the year, and he knew that the contract that he had, or that his contract was going to be up, and the Jets wanted to bring him back, but that's where it is. So we will see.
So the only other one I can remember, but I haven't heard about it in a while, was the Bucks had signed Randy Gregory, and he hasn't shown up to anything. But he's got like a litigation because he's like suing the league for his time with the Broncos or something.
Yeah, and Trent Williams, right? We still have Trent Williams, and Brandon Ayuk situation still have not been resolved, correct?
Yeah, there hasn't been any more noise about Trent Williams, but now they're just saying Ayuk might resign, he might get traded. Still TBD on that.
Yep. So, yep, that's some big ones right there. In the preseason, we did get our first look at the Guardian caps, the helmet condoms with the associated team covers. The first one to come out was Jonathan Taylor with the Guardian cap on for the Colts. How are we feeling about the look of these? And are we excited for more of these to come out throughout the preseason and regular season?
I saw the Stillers one that you sent. It was hard for me to even know he was wearing it from just the pictures. Like I had to look back. Oh yeah, I think the black one. I'm not opposed. Like in aesthetics,
Mm-hmm.
I am not opposed to it. Doesn't look as ridiculous as I had thought. I haven't seen the other ones, but that one was not bad.
I kind of stand by my. It looks like you didn't like have a helmet, and your mom said, "Here, let me knit you this little helmet that you can wear as a costume." Like the way it was like scrunched up, kind of like I don't know. It wasn't as bad, but
It kind of reminds
it,
me of like old Madden games, like on the old like
When you turn
PS2.
Fathead Mo on,
Yeah,
yeah, like
Yep.
something weird. I'm not sure, but it. I mean, like I said, it's not about looks; it's about safety. If people feel safer wearing them and it doesn't impede like the ability to play the game, so be it. Wear it.
yeah. My first scrimmage this year, the whole team on one side of the or one side of the scrimmage, they all wore 'em. They didn't have the helmet condoms on, but they all had the guardian caps on.
Hmm.
There'll probably be more to come on this. I'm sure that there will be some ridiculous looks with some logos and the way that this comes out, but we will see. We will see. Guardian caps do not help protect players that want to take those caps off and fight in practice, like the Giants and Lions, who got each team was fined $200,000 last week due to, I guess, multiple fights that broke out
eight
during a joint practice.
Everyone's like
fights.
whacking each other with helmets.
I don't really have a problem with this.
Which part? The fining or the fighting?
None of it. None of it. This is better than all the other shit that's getting publicity like CD or Reddit. This is cool. I like this.
The fighting and the fining.
Fighting and violence.
It's inevitable what's going to happen, but there's got to be the point. It's like, look, guys, we got to get our shit done.
I agree with you there, but like that's from a referee perspective, I guess. Like,
Well, you said there were what 8 fights, or you mean in
I
general?
think there was 8 fights. Yeah,
between
Over
those
2 days, though, right?
I think at one of those, legitimately, like it was up to like 6 or 7.
See, if that were me, if I'm a coach, I'm kicking that dude out of practice. Like,
No, the
okay,
coaches encouraged it.
okay, I can get it like the first couple, but when you get to like fight 5, 6, 7, 8,
Now we're getting nothing done.
Yeah, the joint practice is not doing anything then. Like you just showed up and
And
said,
see,
"Let's square
that's
up."
what I would have said. I would have just said, "Fuck it, we're out of here." But like, if you're gonna keep doing it, throw hands. Fuck it. Like, what are you gonna say? All right, guys, pack it in. Like, no, keep throwing them. It is what it is. Or you make a dramatic fucking exit.
Or
Like you
one
wait
of
for
your
your
best
guy to
players
win.
gets hurt.
Well, Dan Jones was the one who started the first one.
He didn't start it. He popped in.
He's the one who started the Rumble, according to the reports.
He
They were
definitely.
disrespecting the O-line, knocked the guy down.
Mhm.
So he came marching back, which is what you want from your leader.
It's not what you want from your franchise quarterback, though.
Well, is he really the franchise?
He's paid like it.
I'm just saying, what should have happened is if you were Detroit Dan, but he's not thinking logistically here, I'm not Machiavellian here, is you wait for your guy to take a head. Like, you, all right, hockey fight, you win, took the guy to the ground, and then you call it. You walk away as champion. That's what should have happened.
And lastly, in some football news before we get to the AFC South breakdown, Pitbull has purchased naming rights to FIU's stadium, paying $1.2 million, with the stadium now being called Pitbull Stadium. Beyond this, he also gets like I think suites at every home game. He gets the stadium for like 5 nights a year or something like that to do like concerts or whatever he wants to do with it. And there's a lot of like fringe benefits to this whole situation, but Pitbull Stadium.
Love it.
I'm curious
Love
to
it.
see if there's going to be any sort of like new team walkout or.
Mr. Worldwide. Boom.
Mhm.
I honestly want to know what it takes to get West Liberty's stadium naming rights.
Probably a lot based on who owns it now.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think we could get it for
I
1.2.
don't think so.
You think more than 1.2?
Do we have 1.2?
Oh no, I thought you said something else. No,
I think 1.2 we could do it.
Well,
yeah,
Alex, you know a guy in banking.
we
Yeah,
had
do
1.2.
we have $1.2 million, banker?
But is that the stadium we want?
That's the one you tossed out.
Like, I wonder what cool one where like people actually come to.
And we just hold a charity event and figure it out.
Well, all right, let's make it a fan poll. Which D3 stadium
Or two.
or two should we go after? Do we want Wheelings? Close to the road. I'm
No.
pretty sure we can get it for less.
I refuse.
We can get
No,
it for less.
I walked by that stadium today, and ugh,
That sounds about our level, Nate.
I don't know. I think that's below us.
Ooh. All right.
Hmm.
All right. We could name something like really ridiculous though.
You got to give good amount of money to name it something totally ridiculous. I don't think you just get like that 50K donation gets you to name it something that has to stay on there.
There's no box there either. We gotta get a good one.
You're gonna need that 1.2 million if you want that.
Yeah, we're up to name it such and such stadium. Welcome to the Muff Field at such and
Right.
such stadium.
Muff Field.
Muff Stadium.
Yep. Love it.
Where you can rent out the Muff box.
Oh, even better.
Now we're thinking.
Moving into the NFL with this week's breakdown of the AFC South, courtesy of Nate's research this week. Thank you, Nate.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Nate.
Good job, Nate.
Going into last year's standings, the Texans atop the division at 10-7, the Jaguars at 9-8, followed by the Colts also at 9-8, and bringing up the rear, the Titans at 6-11. Starting off with the Texans, key losses on the defensive line: Sheldon Rankins, running back Devin Singletary, and linebacker Denzel Perryman, offset by the additions of Joe Mixon running back, Stephon Diggs at wide receiver. They did re-sign Dalton Schultz at tight end, and they brought in Danielle Hunter on the defensive end. Draft picks of note, they picked up Kamari Lassiter out of Georgia in the defensive backfield, Blake Fisher, offensive tackle, Notre Dame, Kalen Bullock from USC, and Cade Stover, tight end from Ohio State, to join CJ Stroud, Tank Dell, Laramie Tunsil, Will Anderson Jr., and Derek Stingley Jr. on the squad that's on the up and up. How we feel about the Texans, their draft, and just generally going into this season? We on an upward trend?
Yes. I'm
Yeah.
actually excited to watch some of the Texans and see how they do this year. And I don't think I've ever said that before in my lifetime.
Me too.
Yeah, they definitely made some upgrades across the board. It's just a matter of are all these personalities going to gel?
Yeah, I agree with Nate. I like that take.
Jim is a new Texans fan. What are you most
much.
excited about?
I'm a big fan of Tank Dell. I want to see if Stephon Diggs and CJ Stroud like get that mojo. I obviously want to see CJ Stroud succeed tremendously. I think those are my two big question marks. Dalton Schultz at tight end. I think that he's the guy. But of course, I'm rooting for Cade Stover to make some sort of impact as well as the Ohio State guy. So I'm just interested to see how, like Nate said, I want to see how all these pieces gel and if they can get it together.
Other thoughts on the Texans?
Just don't hang around Laramie Tunsil too much. You'll get in trouble.
He can come to the Muff box.
That should be like the penalty box.
Be very smoky.
Oh, Laramie, getting that gas mask. Next, we have the Jaguars. Key losses this offseason. were Calvin Ridley at wide receiver, and yes, kicker Brandon McManus. Offset by the additions of Gabe Davis at wide receiver coming in from Buffalo, center Mitch Morse, defensive lineman Eric Armstead, cornerback Ronald Darby, and how do we forget that Mac Jones is now in Jacksonville?
It's irrelevant.
Draft picks of note: Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver from LSU, Mason Smith, defensive tackle from LSU, and Jerry Jones, cornerback for Florida State, joining Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne Jr., Christian Kirk, and Josh Hines Allen. The Jags, not making a lot of, I say, splash plays in the offseason. And I think this comes down again to, is Trevor Lawrence going to be able to lead them to the next level?
I don't think he's got enough weapons.
I
I
tend
don't know.
to
I watched a little bit of their preseason game, and I was really impressed. And I didn't put him in the notes. Tank Bigsby, their backup running back. So I think they're going to have a good 1-2 punch with Bigsby and ETN, and then now you've got that rookie Thomas LSU that they're high on. You got Christian Kirk. Yeah, you lose Calvin Ridley, who's probably their best route runner. But I don't know. I mean, I think they've got some good young offensive weapons there. But like Jim said, I think they are just maybe one away.
Yeah.
Kind of what Gabe Davis does here. They really, I think, need like either a good wide receiver 3 to step up, or maybe a tight end to kind of take over the middle of the field there.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that completely.
Time will tell this season. Time will tell. Moving on to the Colts, who lose Gardner Minshew at the quarterback position, Zach Moss at running back, and Isaiah McKenzie at wide receiver. They do bring in Joe Flacco, Footsteps Flacco, and defensive lineman Raekwon Davis, along with the draft picks of note, who include Leatu, defensive end from LSU, Adonai Mitchell, who's getting some good praise in the early going, wide receiver from Texas, and Matt Goncalves, offensive tackle from Pitt. Joining last year's first round draft pick, Anthony Richardson at quarterback, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman Jr., Quentin Nelson on the offensive line, and DeForest Buckner on the defensive line.
I think much like the Jags, I think they're missing one more weapon. Maybe 2, depending on how you view Pittman.
other than the Texans, this might be my least favorite conference or division.
Yeah, I feel like the Colts needed to do so much more in the offseason and didn't hardly do anything.
Yep.
Like, yeah, they re-signed Pittman. You still have Jonathan Taylor under that new contract he got last year. But, I mean, Anthony Richardson's still unproven. He was hurt most of last year. So
I
I
don't know,
think,
Nate. I'm not going to say he's unproven. He's got talent. He just can't avoid, like, the big hits. The boy doesn't know how to slide.
yeah, but that's what I mean in the sense that he's unproven. I mean, he hasn't been able to put a whole season together. Granted, it's his second season.
Okay. All right.
But, I mean, I feel like going into, like, last year with Jordan Love, like, he was unproven and had been in Green Bay for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
It's like,
okay.
is
I'll
Anthony
give you
Richardson, is Anthony Richardson gonna show everyone why he was drafted so high, or is it gonna be more of the same?
Awkward silence.
I was going to say good points.
All right. Colts, yeah, it's to be determined. Anthony Richardson is the future, but he's going to have to stay healthy and make his way through a season with some young talent, I will say, around some unproven talent joining the mix. And last, bring up the seller of this division last year, the Tennessee Titans, who in the offseason canned head coach Mike Vrabel, got rid of Derrick Henry, and also lost left tackle Andre Dillard. In the offseason, they did pick up Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd at wide receiver, Nick Vannett at tight end, Tony Pollard at running back, and L'Jarius Sneed at the cornerback position. They were joined by top draft picks J.C. Latham, offensive tackle out of Bama, and Devondre Sweat from Texas on the defensive line. They join the players already on the squad, which include Will Levis at quarterback, DeAndre Hopkins at wide receiver, and Jeffrey Simons at D end.
I really like those additions, even though they're veteran guys that have been around. But I mean, I feel like a lot of those guys could really help bring Will Levis along.
Yeah, it was like we get rid of Mike Vrabel and we provide opportunity for the offense to thrive, right? Vrabel's hard-nosed defense, the running attack with Derrick Henry. It's like, oh, we're going to bring the team into the 21st century now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you get a 3-down back in Tony Pollard, and you get. I really like them bringing in Calvin Ridley. I think that's really going to help him out. DeAndre Hopkins is already hurt. Shocker. But I mean, if he can stay healthy, I mean, they've got a really good nucleus of offensive weapons there if they can just stay healthy.
All right. Yeah, the Titans hopes of getting out of the basement of that division, but no guarantees going into this year. Bringing us now to our predictions in this division for this season. I will start this time, and then we'll move on down the line. I have the Texans taking this division at 12-5, the Jaguars in second at 9-8, the Colts at 7-10, and the Titans at 6-11 in last place again. Alex.
I have Texans 12-5, Titans 9-8, Jags 8-9, and Colts 7-10.
Nate.
I've got Texans 11-6. Closely on their heels are the Jags at 10-7, followed by the Titans at 8-9, and the Colts at 6-11.
All right, Jim.
I got the Texans at 13-3, Titans at 10-7, Colts at 9-8, the Jags at 7-10.
It's an invalid record for the Texans.
13-4.
All right, so we all have the Texans. Jim's the highest on the Titans coming into this year, and the lowest on the Jags, which I can see why Jim's low on the Jags. He has been for a while now. So
Jim, I'm just your girls are getting ready to go back to school, and they can teach you how to add up to 17.
I hope so too, buddy. I just keep forgetting there's 17 games. That's what screws
Well, that's
me up.
okay. By the time you remember, there will be 18.
Right.
that's very true. Maybe 1 or 2 years before that goes down again. All right, so that wraps up the AFC South division. Next week, we're going to do the NFC North in the NFL. This now brings us to our first college conference breakdown. And as we did last year, we're going to continue to do this year. In addition to the Big Ten, we're also going to break down the Big 12 because, Alex, the Big 12 deserves love too.
Woo!
So without a further ado, I will let Alex take the stage to talk about the Big 12.
Alrighty, so this is the first year with a new look in the conference. We have gotten rid of Oklahoma and Texas. They are in the SEC and picked up Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah, bringing us to a 16-team Big 12. Which kind of normal. Everyone's got weird numbers now. So I just kind of went through some key points about each team. Starting at the top, probably predicted as number one in most everything I've read in the Big 12 is Utah with Cam Rising. Is he going to play this year?
I think he's going to play this year.
Play.
How many years is he going to be now? Is he going to be like a quadruple major?
Could be.
Yeah, exactly. He'll have like 8 doctorates. And so quarterback Cam Rising and tight end Brant Queeth. I feel like I know. I don't know if that's how you say it. I feel like that makes me nervous when I say it. But and then they have a veteran backfield with a senior and junior running back in Mitch Bernard and Jalen Glover. They also bring back 8 defensive starters. If Cam Rising comes back and is healthy, they could be definitely a top threat in the Big 12. Kansas State, they have a dual threat backfield with DJ Giddens and then a transfer in from Colorado, Dylan Edwards. They will be led by quarterback Avery Johnson, who showed out in his bowl game debut last year after Will Howard transfers to Ohio State. They will have some struggles in the receiving game, but they do return 3 offensive line starters, and with the 2 solid running backs, probably going to be okay on offense. Defense brings back 7 starters. They do have new coordinators on both sides of the ball, so it'll be interesting to see how all of the pieces fold together, but they are definitely there for Kansas State. Oklahoma State made it to the Big 12 title game last year and is bringing back 20 starters. That is the most starters of any team in the league returning for this year. Big name to watch out for will be their running back, Ollie Gordon II, and he is behind a solid offensive line, could make some splashes. Next, Kansas. Jalen Daniels is back from injury with 2 solid receivers in Lawrence Arnold and Quentin Skinner, with Devin Neal at running back. Lance Leipold's back. Never thought we'd be talking about Kansas being towards the top of a conference, especially after they just got their first bowl win in, I believe it was 15 years. More than that.
They're a basketball school.
Rock Chalk
But,
Jayhawk.
well, they are turning the tide. Arizona has a new coach and new coordinators, and head coach Brent Brennan after Jed Fish leaves for Washington. Big name receiver there would be Tetaroa McMillan. He is the highest ranked recruit in Arizona school history. Should be interesting to watch there. Defensively, though, could have some struggles. The team we've all been waiting for.
Wait. A Big 12 team having some defensive struggles?
Well, even more. Let's put it this way. If I'm noting it for Big 12 team, it's a struggle. West Virginia, the team.
Wait, are we going through all these teams?
I was just have the top ones. I have a couple things to say about them. Yeah.
I
This is
need to
my
know how
conference.
long I'm taking a nap.
Shut up, Jim.
Okay.
Or else I will interrupt you during the Big Ten.
No, you'll be interrupting me.
Neil Brown brings back 13 starters, including quarterback Garrett Green, who had an impressive year last year. Strong backfield, and CJ
What was the
Dawson.
record last year for his impressive year?
What?
What was his record last year for his impressive year?
Were they 9-4?
Impressive year. Go ahead. Yeah, carry on.
It was, considering they were
I'm
picked.
not saying it wasn't. I'm just saying it was impressive.
They were
I
picked to
agree
finish
with
second to last.
I agreed with you. Impressive year.
Okay.
9-4.
I can't stand you. Strong backfield, CJ Donaldson, Jaheim White. Jaheim White actually, I think it was 7.3 yards per carry he averaged, which was the highest in the FBS for any running back with over 100 carries. They returned 3 starters back on their offensive line. Big hole left by losing Zach Frazier to the NFL, but still have a strong veteran core coming back. 4 out of their 5 top statistical wide receivers will be returning. And on defense, they ended up going to the portal and got some additions, but mainly going to look for safety Aubrey Burks and the linebacker Trey Latham to make some big plays on their defense. Iowa State returns quarterback Rocco Becht after a big year of 23 touchdowns and 8 picks with over 3,000 yards. Team finished stronger last year than they started. See if they'll continue their momentum into the new year with their 9 defensive starters set to return to an already strong defensive team. TCU, questionable. Lots of new people, lots of new coaching. Not really sure where I stand on them. Texas Tech has 8 starters coming back. They picked up wide receiver Josh Kelly from Washington State. UCF, KJ Jefferson transferring to UCF from Arkansas is kind of the big news with them in the offseason. They were the only team added to the Big 12 last year to make a bowl game. So see where they go with the addition of KJ Jefferson. Colorado, we talk about them enough. Insert eye roll here. Year 2 of Dion, Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter will be the big stories there. Baylor,
At
Dave,
Shedeur Sanders. At Travis Hunter.
what was that?
Use their Twitter handles when you refer to them, please.
Oh my gosh.
Put them on there for a reason.
And bringing up probably my bottom 5 in that. Baylor, Dave Aranda may be on the hot seat. Arizona State's in the conference. BYU's in the conference. Cincinnati, Scott Satterfield, can they turn him around? A 3-9 season last year to start his tenure there. Wondering if he gets a season under his belt, how they look this year. And then Houston had a pretty good hire in Willie Fritz coming as the head coach from Tulane. We'll be interested to see what he does with the team, although not great outlooks just based on what they have going for him right now. So the big takeaway I feel like from the Big 12 is there's like a solid top maybe 8, we'll say, that are going to battle out, have a good season, and then,
What are they battling out for?
Big 12 championship,
Oh, okay.
spot in the playoffs, chance for national championship.
Like every other Power 5
Conference.
conference, Jim.
I just want to make sure that's what he thought they were battling out for.
What do you
Yeah.
think they're
Wanted-
battling out for, Jim?
A bowl game.
No,
Go ahead,
conference
carry on.
championship.
Carry
You
on.
have to remember there's also 12 teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, buddy.
Okay.
I'm with you.
So I'll go ahead and grip and rip my top 5 predictions for the Big 12. I think Oklahoma State actually comes out on top. A lot of people favor Utah. I like Oklahoma State better on paper, but we will see. Number 2 is Utah. Number 3, Kansas State. Number 4, Kansas. And then because of who I am as a person, number 5, West Virginia.
All right, Nate.
I think Utah, if Cam Rising plays, they get it done. I think it's going to be them and Oklahoma State are going to run the table in this conference this year. I also have Kansas State. For some reason, Kansas State just always seems to hang around no matter who's there. They're always a tough team to play, especially in Little Manhattan. I think Arizona, although Alex thinks they're going to struggle defensively, I think they'll come out and be like the surprise team of the conference this year. And I think WVU still plays a part in the top 5 in the conference.
All right, next I have Utah in the top spot, followed by Kansas State, Kansas, and a surprise by Oklahoma State falling to 4th in the end of year standings. And I'm going to have WVU continuing to grow as a team and improve, getting into 5th place this year in the Big 12.
I think that me and Muff being at the games, really cheering hard, is going to boost West Virginia's morale.
And their beer sales.
Both are probably accurate.
I mean, all but August 31st.
True. For Muff.
Correct.
I
Jim?
was thinking today, I'm like, I hope no one throws anything at Muff because I'm going to have to get in a fight.
Nobody's going to throw anything at me. Sure about that. Jim.
I have Utah, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Arizona, Kansas. The ones that are ranked currently.
That's fine. It's our predictions.
I'm giving you the logic behind mine. That's all.
Okay.
Coming at me.
That's because
Okay.
99.9% of the time you're saying something if it has to do with the Big 12 because you're trying to
I've
come
not said anything all night.
Oh, you have. You have.
What? Enlighten
What are they
me.
playing for?
Just wanted to make sure we understood what Alex thought they were playing for. That's all.
Thought they were playing for? What do they really play for, Jim?
Funsies.
At this point, there's only 12 spots in the old playoff bracket.
I think the Big 12 has a good chance of at least 2. Well, they're going to get 1 regardless. I think they definitely get to it.
Get that participation trophy. You right. Cannon fodder for
All right. You're just trying to stir me up now. I refuse to bait. I refuse to bite.
All right. Next week in college football, we're going to let Jim break down the Big Ten.
all of it. Or are we gonna split in half?
All of it.
All right.
All of it, Jim. We got to get ready for week 0.
All right. You got it, buddy.
All right. Moving out of college football into the Olympics. Final
Did
wrap up.
WVU have any shooters that won gold?
Not gold.
Were they in the Olympics though?
They had a couple shooters in the Olympics.
There you go. You got that going for you.
They had several athletes in the
Nice for
Olympics.
the
They had
side.
like 4 or 5 in for Canada.
There we go.
You done, Jim?
I'm just trying to be nice, Muff. That's all.
Patronizing. In the Olympics, USA women basketball team narrowly defeated France 67-66 to win their 8th consecutive gold medal and well on their way to continuing their dominance to an epic proportion with the most potential games won in a row. Thanks to a would-be three-pointer from a France player at the buzzer. It was not a three-pointer because her foot was on the 3-point line. For the USA, Asia Wilson wins women's basketball Olympic MVP. And let's not forget that she is the best player in the NBA, bar none, 100%, and is almost assured at this point to be the WNBA MVP this year. On the men's side, Steph Curry goes night-night to the good people of Paris and dominates down the stretch, leading USA men's basketball team to gold, also over France and Victor Wembanyama by a score of 98-87. LeBron James wins the Olympic MVP for the men's side. Anybody see the still frame of the Steph Curry 3 over Wembanyama?
Yeah, how high do you think he shot that damn ball?
Very high, very arced shot.
Do you think air traffic control knew that it was up that high?
Doubtful inside the arena.
But still, it's just like I want to know what kind of angle he had on that because that picture is ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, it looks freakish, right? Victor Wembanyama in that picture. Pretty interesting there. There's a lot of discussion after the fact that this is kind of the end of this guard, the Avengers. They were calling them. This is probably the last Olympics for LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. It's time for the younger players who were on the roster: Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton, Bam Adebayo, and others to kind of pick up where this was left off, in addition to Anthony Edwards. So we will see what comes of the United States men's basketball. Of note, Nikola Jokic and Serbia won bronze and then proceeded to go out and party before they came back for the medal awards, and everyone could easily tell that they were pretty drunk as they were kind of falling over themselves on the platform. So Jokic then goes. What do we think Jokic does after he's done with the Olympics?
Horses.
Can be seen at the horse track, messing around like he always does. In the soccer gold medal game, the U.S. women beat Brazil 1-0.
I watched the end of that game. I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but they good. They didn't lose.
And some other interesting stories coming out of the Olympics. Before we get into some of the medal count and the most recent area of controversy, I found this one, which was interesting. Kristen Faulkner won the women's road race event. She did not start cycling until after she finished her degree at Harvard. In 2021, she quit her job as a venture capitalist to pursue cycling. She was not even scheduled to race in this event until one of her teammates resigned. So I'm assuming just decided she was not going to compete. She goes on to win gold and become the first woman to win gold in the women's road race in 40 years. This is a pretty interesting story in my mind.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Now it's dominating all of the headlines in the post-Olympic controversy. U.S. gymnast Jordan Chiles is having to give back her bronze medal for now. The team said in a statement, and this is all has been led up to by this whole issue with when an inquiry or an appeal was submitted after her routine. The team did say in a statement it submitted a time-stamped video that shows USA gymnastics coach Landy submitting her inquiry 47 seconds after the score was posted, followed by a second statement 55 seconds after the score was originally posted. Again, Chiles was in, I think, 5th place. And then there was a score change as a result of the United States submitting this inquiry. And then it came out later that the inquiry was not submitted within the 1-minute timeline. And Chiles, for the time being, has been stripped of the bronze medal. It's given back to the Ukrainian gymnast, I believe.
Romanian, you're right.
Romanian, was it Romanian? Okay.
Yep.
Romanian gymnast. So, what does everybody feel about this situation that you can just go back and forth all the time?
If it was 47 seconds after the score's posted, that's within a minute. So I don't understand why she's giving it back.
I think the original thing I saw said they were 4 seconds too late.
That's what the governing body is
Mhm.
saying that they were late. They're saying they were beyond early. That's the debate. The governing body, I just read it, says, we don't give a shit what you have to say. We're the governing body. We're going to take the medal. And so you can appeal it to, and this is the interesting part that I read. Their appealing could go to Switzerland's highest court, the Swiss Tribunal, or the European Court of Human Rights to hash this out. So it's basically a pissing match between what they're calling the CAS, Court of Arbitration for Sport, and USA Gymnastics over when the appeal was put in. Because the appeal was done on the floor, and that's how she got it lifted up. Like, that's how she got her score lifted up. Well, the tribunal court thing says, nah, forget your appeal that actually gave you the medal. We're the high court, and we say that doesn't count. So it's a pissing match. Which, like, if I have the medal in my bag and I got it, who's coming to get it? Like, are you sending like, can you sue me for it? How does that work?
That's interesting. I'm not sure.
Like,
Oh, I lost it.
I sold it already. Sorry.
like, am I violating international law?
I made it home, but my baggage didn't.
Yeah, it's lost somewhere.
Like, how does that work? I really want to know.
I don't know. I'm sure you can. I'm sure the USA Gymnastics and the U.S. Olympic Committee could be reprimanded if they don't return it. Um, I'm sure that can happen.
So they ban USA Gymnastics from competing 4 years from now? Like,
I'd
I
say
can see that.
reprimanded.
And then do you
that
just
would be rough.
internationally ship a bronze medal?
Yeah, like I could just make one. Like, here you go.
Like, there's going to be someone that's in between that goes, this is being shipped from USA Gymnastics to Switzerland. I wonder what it could be.
Well, you got to figure that, like, these guys are so highfalutin and like full of themselves that they're sending two people with a briefcase and like handcuffs, like to handcuff the briefcase to themselves. It's that important.
For a bronze medal.
Yeah.
Imagine if this was for gold or silver.
It'd be rough.
Like, yeah.
Armed guards and a tank, maybe.
Tank would be fun. Would be fun to see that go down. I mean, this resolves in the next few weeks, hopefully.
I don't think so, Muff.
No, it's gonna be a long drawn out one.
Yeah.
Okay. Wrapping up, the USA wins the total medal count with 126 total medals, but does tie China with 40 total gold medals. On the USA side, the women accounted for 65% of the country's gold this Summer Olympics, and each gold medal winner gets $38,000. Putting a little perspective to the United States payouts for gold medal versus others, Hong Kong gives $768,000 for a gold. I believe they were at the top as far as total dollar amounts. Spain gives $102,000, Israel $271,000. In some countries like Kazakhstan, Olympic medal winners even get apartments, and South Korea offers pensions or lump sum payouts for their gold medal winners. I posed to the group, if you were in charge of providing compensation, whether that be cash money or other compensation, what would you give an Olympic gold medalist as incentive?
I don't think there's an incentive better than cash.
I mean, cash is king, but then also I think there should be a hall of Olympians. That might already exist, but that would be cool if you had like a gold bust, if you want a gold medal in something. And then like you could add to it. So like Michael Phelps would have like his like gold bust, and then it would eventually be like a statue and like him with all his medals. Like, you know what I mean? So like when you walk through, you get to see all the great Olympians. It'd be cool to be like, yeah, I got to be up in that.
Yeah, I think money's nice, especially, I mean, when you're looking at, the gold medal for the men's basketball team, 38K does nothing for them. It like
Yeah.
paid for their night out, maybe. Um, but I think for the lower level athletes, I think there should be maybe some type of tiered system of some of those lesser known sports that they get a little bit more incentive. Maybe like there's the base, hey, everybody gets this amount of money, and then maybe we do some additional support, maybe to help give them some sponsorship deals, something that's a little bit more than just that one time payment. I think that would be cool. Like maybe they get all gold medal holders automatically get some type of deal with like Gatorade or Nike or some other company that makes sense based on their sport. All right, and in the last bit of gold medal winning, just because I thought this was maybe one of the most, if not the most impressive feats of this Olympic Games, Cuban wrestler Mijan Lopez won his 5th consecutive gold medal in the 130 kilo weight Greco-Roman weight class in wrestling.
That was cool. And it was cool to watch him like leave his shoes on the floor, and I don't know. I thought it was neat.
Yeah, this is somebody like pretty much your and I's age, Jim, winning a gold medal.
I'm impressed.
That's pretty nuts to hear that. I think if that is a record, getting a 5th consecutive gold medal in an individual event. So definitely impressive. Did anybody watch the closing ceremonies or see any clips?
I saw Tom Cruise jump off at the top of a stadium.
I mean, we had Snoop there, we had Dr. Dre there, TC was there. What I didn't know was this like supposed to be what it was, because this is like leading into LA hosting next Summer Olympics, or
Yes.
that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just like,
It's them passing the torch.
It's passing the torch. I was just like, why is this have such like, an American flavor to it? In
I had to
France.
figure it out real quick because I heard the American, like America the Beautiful,
Hmm.
and I was like, they're in Paris. What the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, America doesn't need hated anymore. And then I understood that they are passing the torch to us for 2028. So
Yeah.
I had to look it up.
Yeah, I just was like, why? I mean, it makes more sense now why Snoop was a bigger part
Yes.
of the Olympics themselves. And, it did come out, I know we talked about it, he's getting 500K a day to be there. Did we talk about that last week?
Yeah, I did see that. That's pretty ridiculous.
Like, of course he's going to be excited to be at all the events. Like,
Wait, you're paying me how much to go watch badminton?
man just made
Yeah,
an easy
happy
like
to,
8 mil.
yeah, he's very happy man.
Yeah, of course he's pumped. Give it back to those athletes. Maybe that's what we need to be doing. Why take Snoop Dogg's money and give it to those athletes? Add that to the incentive for gold medals. And we are letting the hype begin now for the LA 2028 games. So, unfortunately, breakdancing will not be making its way to LA.
The best part of this, is, do you know where they're doing the softball?
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City.
That's cool.
Fucking love that.
Yeah, I think they had to get like a special permission to do that because it's so far away from LA.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. But yeah, breakdancing out, baseball, softball back in, lacrosse is in.
That'd be kind of cool.
I think there's 4 or 5 either returning events or new events that are coming to the Olympics in LA.
Cannot wait. I'm
so
gonna put it out in the ether. I would like to go to Oklahoma City for the softball. Would like to do that. That would make Tessa 8 and Zadie 12.
Are you asking us or telling us?
I'm doing the math in my head. So yeah, that would be a fun trip. That would be cool. That would be awesome.
everybody, just because I said that they're not doing it anymore, anybody see the woman from Australia, the breakdancing
Yeah,
woman?
everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, the big goose egg score.
the goose egg. She has like a PhD in movement and took up breakdancing and somehow conned the Australian Olympic group to send her to represent them in breakdancing and puts up the goose egg.
Yeah, that's not going to be in the Olympics in 2028. Thank God.
It is not. Which leads us to other interesting news in sports.
Other interesting news in sports.
I
Nothing.
thought I thought we were already there, so I'm like, oh, okay.
Starting with baseball. It happened again. We got to August. There was some excitement about the Pirates' chances for the playoffs, and they proceed to lose, was it 7 or 8 straight games?
Million games in a row.
Hey, at least they almost made it to back to school season.
So their probability of actually making it, they're done.
Pretty much.
Very low, Jim.
Virtually
low.
zero.
Paul
Okay.
Skeens can't get runs scored in any of his starts. All of this
See,
just hurts
know-
his case.
At least they know when to tail off. They know that it's football season right around the corner.
I mean, I can't disagree with that, Nate, to be truly honest. I've been trying to keep up with the games, but ever since this losing streak started, it felt terrible.
Well, that and they're out west, and I'm not staying up late to watch that for the quality of baseball we're getting.
Yeah. But in other news, the Little League World Series is starting on Wednesday. And with a local flavor, the Pony League World Series has started in Washington, Pennsylvania. And you can watch, I think, some live and some replay games on AT&T Sportsnet.
Or whatever the Pittsburgh Pirates channel is. If you want to watch good baseball,
Just wait until the Pony League Baseball World Series comes on.
There we go.
or you can also go out and support the Washington Wild Things, who are also in the playoff race, and they're actually winning some damn games.
Those are options. Go to Washington over the next week. Come watch baseball. Winning baseball.
Sell your fandom.
Sell the fandom. And last, for interesting news in sports, I'm not going to go into all of this, but the George Mason men's basketball team apparently was scammed, thinking they had paid money to participate in a trip to the Bahamas, where they were supposed to play a couple exhibition games against Bahamian teams.
Bohemian?
Is it Bohemian or Bahamian?
The Bahamian?
Is it Bohemian?
What's Bohemia?
It's Bahamas.
I think it's Bohemian.
Okay,
It's Bohemian. I've been to a resort that has Bohemian in the name.
got it. But
I've been there once.
I've been there. I know it's Bohemian. But a couple of their players showed up early, as they were catching the plane early to get on the plane, and there were no plane tickets and there were no reservations of record in the Bahamas. A booster said that the school booked the trip through the Seven group many months ago, but ultimately had to cancel it last week after learning they had no plane tickets and no reservations. The Seven group did come out with a statement, which I am not going to read in length, saying that was unfortunate. It was unforeseen outcome. We apologize for the impact this had on the student athletes and the program. Blah blah blah. I think they just totally got scammed by this group. All said and
Yep.
done.
Yep. I agree.
Until I hear that they have been refunded that full cash amount, this has been a scam.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Completely. Hey, I forgot to add something to.
What would you do? What would you do, Alex?
Oh, fuck off! I've
Oh, shit.
killed somebody.
Yeah. I'd be embarrassed, I think. One. Good for getting got on that level. And there'd be an apology issued to all these people who invested in us going on a fake trip to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And I don't even know. It makes me uncomfortable to think about.
Yeah.
All right, Jim said you had something.
I forgot to add this.
Mhm.
Since baseball. On August 2nd, 2025, there will be a Atlanta Braves Cincinnati Reds game played at Bristol, the Bristol Speedway.
Mhm.
So there will be now a baseball game inside of a racetrack instead of a racetrack inside of a football stadium. Why?
I mean, it's the novelty, I would assume. I mean, those infields are pretty large, yeah.
It's
more than enough room.
it'll have plenty of room. The seating's what's going to be nuts.
Well, seeing is going to be terrible.
It's a bowl. It's literally a bowl.
Mm.
So gonna be weird. But this is goofy.
I mean, just stick to the normal games you have, like the Field of Dreams game, the Little League
Right.
World Series game. Like putting a baseball diamond in the middle of a racetrack makes absolutely zero sense.
And it's gonna be hot.
In August, yeah.
Hot. And the bowl's not gonna give you a good amount of wind.
Well, and I'm wondering too, if this is going to be a night game, how high are the lights there?
Oh, they're pretty high.
Like high enough that we don't have to worry about a fly ball going above the lights?
Yeah, no. I mean,
Well,
I don't know.
And then I'm thinking about all the other logistics too. Like, how are the dugouts going to work? Like, you just going to have traditional benches?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be goofy.
And then,
Plus-
where do the pitchers warm up? Like, yeah, it's just gonna be weird.
Gonna be a sight.
Like, what happens if someone gets ejected? All right, you got to walk up the track, up that incline or whatever, and then somehow get out.
I don't know. That's just like the winter game this year is gonna be played at the Horseshoe.
Yeah, but they've played in football stadiums before. That's not a big deal. It's just the capacity is going to be a lot bigger than what it has been.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think it's gonna be hard. Maybe all of Columbus shows up, but it's gonna be hard to visually on the screen, on a television screen. It's gonna be you have a lot of taped off seats.
Oh, you don't think they're going to try to sell it out?
Ain't no way you're gonna sell it that much for a hockey game in Columbus.
Yeah, especially when it's the Blue Jackets.
It's not. Oh yeah, it is. It's the Blue Jackets in Detroit.
I mean, Detroit's got some loyal fans because they're one of the original six, but
Yeah.
I don't know if you, like you said, get a lot of Columbus fans.
You're not selling the Horseshoe out.
We'll
You're
see.
giving tickets away.
I mean, they may still be giving tickets away either way.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you have a connection for us if we're ever interested.
I think we can get tickets for dirt cheap if we wanted to go.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what I got for you.
All right. Yeah, that will be interesting. That's a good little tidbit. About a year from now to consider what will they do? I'm sure
what will happen.
Yeah, what will happen? Just because this was brought up a couple weeks ago, and you said you're gonna have a list ready, Jim.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Who are the 10 quarterbacks better than Aaron Rodgers?
In no particular order.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, Joe Montana, Roethlisberger, Mahomes, Elway, Troy Aikman, Drew Brees, Eli Manning.
The only one I disagree with you on is Eli Manning.
It's my list.
Yeah, it is. No,
And Alice is right to disagree.
I mostly agree with you though.
I almost put Drew Bledsoe up there just to really get people's jimmies stirred, but I decided to opt for Eli, who has one more Super Bowl than Aaron Rodgers.
That's true. Tommy gun automatics. Well, he was good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jim, you can finish out that list in the notes so that I can make a graphic for this.
Oh yeah, okay. I'll do that for you.
As a reminder, you can always get with us on the social media throughout the week to see see if you agree with our predictions coming up in the NFL season, as well as the college football season in the Big 12 and the Big 10. Remember, you can catch us at Sports Jim Muff on Instagram and Twitter, Sports Stuff with Jim Muff on Facebook, on YouTube. And you could always get down with the gang, hit those likes buttons, hit the subscribe button, get the bell on, as Jim says.
Get the bell on.
Ding ding.
Make sure that this rocket ship keeps going up, 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 and away. When you tell a friend, make a friend. Be a
Friend.